the difference. But a couple of things here before we get a little crazy out there. Dave Scholl telling it like it is, NBA Finals. The reason we're the best in this program, again, dead ass right. For 3 or 4 weeks, I've been telling you that Draymond Green should not be covered. The other night, 2 for 12, telling you again, should not be covered. Very few people out there understand the concept that you don't have to cover everybody. When you do, then you got a problem. But why cover Draymond? Make him beat you. I don't know why teams haven't done this in the past. This is why the Celtics coach seems to be way ahead of the game. Don't cover him. Take his defender, stick him at the foul line, have him cheat, bump cutters, whatever you got to do. Get him in and out of the lane. Make him shoot. And hey, maybe Draymond goes out tonight. I still wouldn't cover him. He's your best option. All right. Looney's not going to take a shot anyway, but Draymond's out front handling the ball. Back off, bump cutters, do what you got to do. And they did that. And 2 for 12, not typical Draymond game. Draymond puts his foot in his mouth, says he's thinking about other things. Great job. Other thing why we're great. Called that the other night. Next thing we called in this program. Been talking for weeks about a shorter season. What's Adam Silver do this week on the State of the NBA at the NBA Finals he does every year? Talks about a shorter season because of the injuries. Except Adam hasn't figured out the right way to go about it yet. Well, as we have 70 games, no back-to-backs, but then no load management. Both sides sign off on it. I don't want to hear any bill about load management bullshit. If you have to sit out games, you got to go on a DL for X amount of days and make it like the other pro sports where you got to go on a DL for X amount of time. You're out, then we're out for 10 days. You're out, we're out for 15 days, we're out for 20 days. Sign it into the contract. Healthier players, better basketball for the softer group of players. And we can find a way to keep more healthy players in the NBA playoffs. And to me, that's the way to go. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. Just a couple of stats. And another thing we like to talk about in the program, no bigger adjustment is made in NBA Finals history between Game 1 and Game 2. Every year between Game 1 and 2 of the series, you see the biggest adjustments, especially when you have 2 days off in between games. So it's kind of crazy. But people always overreact. It's like Game 1 of the NFL season. People overreact, and it's crazy. But the NFL season, it's a different thing. We're trying to make the playoffs and things like this. This is obviously best of 7, so people do get excited. But just a couple of reminders here about some statistics here. Teams that win the first game of best of 7 series win 76.6% of the time, 393 and 120. Teams that win the first game of a best of 7 series at home usually win 85% of the time. Funny though, teams that win the first game of a best of 7 series on the road only win 52.6% of the time. That's a little crazy, but we've seen that before. And obviously these numbers mean nothing because the Suns got up 2-0 last year and then got thoroughly trounced. But Game 1, some interesting stuff. There's always would you have thoughts when you play games? And you look at a stat sheet after a game, whether it be high school, college, pro, whatever it is, there's always tails there. Well, most games there's tails there that tell you that why a team won. But some nights there's multiple tails there and they balance each other out. So, for example, 15 out of 23 from Horford, Smart, and others from the three-point line for the Celtics. And that's not something that you would anticipate. But at the same time, you got to ask yourself, is Steph going to go off and get 6 threes in the first quarter? So again, there's always those things. Who would have thought you lost if the Warriors are up 15 at home in the third quarter? Who would have thought the Celtics would score 40 in the fourth quarter and the Warriors would only score 16? So again, you play these who would have thought it games, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Sometimes stat sheets reveal themselves and they give you a look into why teams win. Usually it's turnover battle, shooting percentages, and this night is no different. But you can't get all panicked if you're the Warriors. You're up 15 in the third quarter. Just to say 2 things, though. Both times that Curry took out Steph Curry, the Celtics came back. They came back in the first half down 10 when Steph went out. They started the run. And the other night, he goes out. They're up 12, comes back in. I believe they're up 5. So some tough situations there. Steve's going to catch a little heat for that because they know you have an extra day off. I'd play him a little longer. You can sit there and you hide behind the bullshit cowardness of this is our rotation. This is what we do. Usually coaches say that when they're full of crap. But, Steve's been focusing on other things lately. Maybe he fell asleep at the switch. Stay slept, Steve. So the thing is, they lost. But then again, who'd have thought again? Tatum goes 3 for 17. Who'd think you can win a game like that? But has 13 assists. Can't beat that. So again, strange statistical lines here as we look at the stats here. Rebounds are even. And people talk about the size of the Celtics bothering so much of the Warriors. Well, the battle of the boards was even. I think in the size that they're talking about here, though, is the size of fact that they don't really have anybody to guard Tatum or Brown. And that brings me to one of my very big points that no one's talking about. I don't think Clay's totally back on the defensive end of the floor. He's been streaky on the shot, but don't forget Clay was a great defender. And so I don't know if he's back enough yet. No one seems to be stopping Brown in transition, always going right all playoff. No one seems to be stopping that. And Brown really got them off the schneid the other night in the fourth quarter. He got them to start coming back. But as we like to say, though, again, we're a little scattered here. I'm a little excited for game 2 here tonight. The assists, the Warriors, who averaged 6 more assists a game during the season, I believe, had 9 less assists the other night. And again, a lot of ISO ball, didn't really run their screens, didn't get during those runs. How you not get a pin down for Steph? How you not get a pin down for Clay? This is not that difficult when you got great shooters like that. And people crushing Poole, for the meat of that game, Poole is 2 for 5. What would you like him to do going 2 for 5 with 5 shots? Now, yeah, should he take more shots? Well, don't forget he's 2 for 5. They didn't get him the ball enough. But again, Warriors usually have a great passing game. Usually the team that runs the best offense in the league. A lot of isolation basketball. A lot of Steph handing the ball off to him behind the screen, but not running a lot of their movement game. Warrior movement game was not run the other night. Both teams 8 and 7 steals, 6 blocks. Warriors 14 turnovers, Celtics 12 turnovers. But here's the big difference. Celtics shoot 50% for the game. Warriors shoot 44%. And that's a big difference. Celtics shoot 51% from 3. Warriors shoot a great percentage themselves, 42.2. Celtics just outshot them, 81.3 from the free throw line. Warriors lost all 3 shooting battles by significant amounts, 6%, 9%, and 8%. And there's your ball game right there. There's your game right there. And that's why the Celtics come out on top by 15 in the game like that. It's not going to be hard to figure. Actually, by 12, 120 to 108. So, some interesting stuff in that game there. If you want to look at the box scores from the other night, let's look into this a little bit, see what we get. Let's get that box score up here. Where'd it go, man? Where'd my box score go? It's pissing me off. Games. All right, let's go find that. So let's go back to the game here. Game 1. It's interesting. That was a great game the other night. A lot of fun. I wouldn't say it was greatly played, but what the hell? I enjoyed it. Here's the box score for the game. Tatum, like we said, 3 for 17, 5 for 7 from the free throw line, 5 boards, 13 assists, plays 41.5 minutes. Al Horford was the stud of the night, 9 for 12. You don't expect him to go 6 for 8 from 3. Jaylen Brown, we talk about a monster game, but Jaylen shoots 10 for 23 and 2 for 8 from 3. So I can't say it's a monster game, as the boys that text me like crazy here. 7 boards, 5 assists. Shooting 10 for 23 is not a monster game, but by today's standards, it is. 4 turnovers for Jaylen too, a couple of travels. He was excited. Here's the guy, Marcus Smart and Derek White, 7 for 11, 6 for 11. Now, if they're going to shoot like that, we got problems. But if Clay's not back, you're going to still get those open shots. I think you'll see a little more zone maybe tonight from Steve, and we'll see what happens. They showed a little bit the other night. Grant Williams 0 for 2, 3 boards, 3 assists. Pritchard's been great, 3 for 4, 2 for 3 from 3. It's been excellent. So you gotta just love what you've seen out of him. 2 for 3, 5 for 3, got 11. Got 17 for 25 from the 3 for those 4 guys right there. And even these chips in 1 for 1 from 3. Good to see him get back in the game again. Great game for those shooters wide open. I thought Wiggins was very solid. 8 for 15 from the floor. You don't expect it at a Wig, but again, minus 11 on the plus minus, but that was late. Draymond, 2 for 12. Okay, 4 threes, 0 for 3 from the free throw line. 2 of the three free throws he missed during that run, where they had a 12-0 run, I believe, and he missed 2 free throws. That was huge. 5 assists, 3 turnovers, 11 boards. Give him credit for that. Looney, I thought, was pretty good, but again, 1 for 4. Not a guy you can rely on a bucket. You got to get a lob center. And this is where they missed Weisman there. I mean, great player. Klay Thompson, 6 for 14, 3 for 7. But again, not the same player on the defensive end of the floor. I don't know how we're going to handle that. Steph, 12 for 25, solid game. Here's another thing. Fans in this country have just lost their freaking mind. So people try to call that a choke game. Guy had 34 points, 5 assists, and 5 boards. If that's a choke game, I hope he chokes every night if you're a Warrior fan. But people have these stupid ass narratives. You can tell they never competed, played, or coached a goddamn thing in their life at a high level and never won a damn thing. You go 34, 5-5 and lose a game. So now you see all these stupid comparisons in these basketball Facebook groups. These people are absolutely just ridiculously stupid. Talk about how he never wins anything without Durant. Well, he won a final before Durant got there. And yeah, with Durant there, they're even better. Now with Durant's not there, they're not as good. Durant can get his own shot. Steph getting his own shots a little bit different. It's usually a step back three or he shoots one of those really impossible floaters. KD just does the pull up J at about a 7'1" wingspan, and nobody can stop that. Jordan Poole, 2 for 7. Like I said, 2 for 5 in the meat of the game. But again, 25 minutes. So you give us options. Otto Porter. When Otto Porter and Iggy go 7 for 9 between them and 5 for 6 from 3-point line between them, who'd have thought that the Warriors would lose that game? And again, we'll go back to who your thoughts. Who would have thought? Well, here's Porter and Iggy played great. Iggy looked like he never missed a beat. 3 assists for Iggy, of course. And to me, one of the smartest players that ever played this game. So Otto Porter played well. I think you'll see Kuminga tonight. I think they need a little bit more size. For some reason, even though the battle of the board was the same, you might see Gary Payton tonight, the second. But again, what are you going to put him on offense? And a big problem is, what are you going to do with Poole and Steph out there together? And I think that's the problem. I think you got to give Marcus Smart whatever room he has. I don't think, again, Marcus shot well the other night, but I'd still try to, Marcus is too strong for either Steph or Poole to guard. So give him space, try to use some length. All right. So Steph is a little taller than him, but use some space and length and make Marcus go over the top of you instead of going 3. I guess Marcus Smart is a beast, as we all know. So Marcus 7 for 11, 5 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, typical Marcus Smart game. Just really, really, really incredible how he's matured in the league. And like I said, Peyton Pritchard play well. So very, very, very exciting time to watch these NBA finals tonight. Should be a lot of fun to go to game 2. But again, shortening the season. We talked about that on here. Now the NBA is talking about it. We talked about not guarding Draymond. Draymond goes 2 for 12. I'll tell you, that's the way to go. Don't guard Draymond. I would back off of Smart. If Draymond's going to beat you over the top in the series, go ahead, beat me. At least I'll know that, you took the best option we had and you beat it. When a team takes the best option you have and beats it, that's a tough break. And you could tip your cap to a team and you could live with it. But making Draymond shoot, and if I'm the Celtics, I hope he hits his first 3-pointer tonight, because then he'll remember that one. He'll go for 1 for the next 6 and wind up going like 2 for 7 from 3. And that's a positive. He's their best rebounder too, and that keeps him away from the basket. I would like to see a little more Warriors motion tonight from the Warriors standpoint. They got to get back to running their offense, just not doing dribble handoffs to Steph. You got to get back to that pin down game and some of those great sets they run where Steph gets the hockey assist because he gets doubled off the pick and roll at the top. We hit Draymond in the lane. He penetrates and he throws a lob. But here's the problem. Looney's not the same lob catcher. All right. Weisman would have been better at this. Weisman, whatever how to pronounce it today. But game 1s, people always overreact, and we'll see who makes the adjustments tonight. We'll see what they do if the Celtics are backing off Draymond again. And the Warriors, we'll have to see maybe what the Celtics do if they try to change their rotations and try not to leave these guys open. If they try not to leave them open, it's going to force somebody to cover Tatum one-on-one. It's going to force them also to cover Brown one-on-one, and Brown has been getting to the rack whenever he wants. You could do that. You could try to give not a lot of help coverage and try to keep them in front, but I don't think physically they're strong enough. And that's what I was saying before. I don't think Clay is healthy enough. Wiggins obviously could take one or the other, but I think Tatum is a little bit too big to be covered by Wiggins. I think you got to put another step and take a guy like Clay and see if he's back enough. He's a little bit taller. See if he can handle Tatum. Actually, isn't it tall, but he's a little bit thicker, a little bit stronger. But you got to do something. It's a strange matchup for the Warriors. But again, don't overreact to game 1s. And like I said, we'll see what happens tonight as far as, I look for the Warriors to come out and throw a nice little haymaker and see what happens. The Celtics got to be ready for that emotional barrage. And that's something that always comes up in these games. But I don't think you should panic. I don't think you should overreact. And I think that people just got to relax and not panic if you're a Warrior fan. And the fans online, 34, 5-5 is a choke. I mean, do you realize that they think that if their player doesn't win the game, you automatically didn't do a good job? Well, it means you lost, but sometimes you play a good game and you lose. Now, granted, Steph wasn't great in that run by the Celtics. But again, I blame a lot of them on the Warriors bench. They did not get a lot of motion. They didn't get a lot of touches off down screens and open shots. And even in the first half, when Steph got hot in the first quarter, those were off of miscommunications. You go back and watch that first quarter when he hits the 6 threes. Those are mismatches. The couple have been transition when nobody's near him. He's not going to get those kind of looks. Now, granted, he only had 13 in the last 3 quarters, and that's the problem. He's got to be better than that as the team's best player. But it's different. It's different game in the NBA playoffs and especially the NBA finals. And I really think that Udoka is a great defensive coach, obviously. So we got to see what happens here. We got to see who makes the shots. A lot of people always say it's a make it, take it league. And the other night sure proved that. Give up 40 in the fourth quarter. But really the bigger problem, I think, is the offense only scoring 16 in the fourth quarter. You expect better than that from the Warriors. But if you're going to sit here and blame Poole for everything like people like to do, then you got to get him involved a little more, get him some sets. But I think they're afraid of having him and Steph out there, like I said before, because of the defensive end of the floor. Either way, should be a lot of fun. And they'll be wrapping it up here. Balance. Game 2. One half hours away. It'll be looking forward to the game tonight. A lot of people talk about mine, so I'm not going to react to it anymore. But the game 2, we have a better vision. What's going on? We'll take it from there. As we go for us, I'll tell you what to do. See you next time.